Thank you for joining another whiteboard session with us. Today's topic is going to be corporate hierarchy. And to tackle that topic, we're just going to break it down into three basic elements. What in the world is it? Where does it apply? And maybe even some of the how does it apply? But most importantly, we're going to really hang on the why. Why does corporate hierarchy matter? So let's start from the left and kind of work our way to the right. Corporate hierarchy, what is it? At its core essence, it's really just structure. It's a structure of people and decision making that ultimately have power to decide on things that impact those very people in four walls, or in some cases across many entities. And when we think hierarchy, what we're trying to really hint at and understand is, how does a company C possibly relate to a company B and roll up to possibly a company A? In some cases, it might just be one company. In some cases, this list could be comprised of 10 or 20 different entities rolling up into one superpower. And knowing that really matters. So that's what it is, people in power and various organizations working together. Let's talk a little bit about where this can be applied. From my own individual role, I'm in a sales role, and I'm within a software as a service company. So let's just for a moment describe what SaaS is. SaaS at its core is really built on three cylinders: earning new clients, keeping those clients, and growing with those clients. So earn them, keep them, grow them. If we take that business model and think corporate hierarchy and apply it to two very different products, let's take coffee as an example, and let's also take cloud storage. Coffee, more than likely, you consume it, you definitely know what it is. And if we think about this structure of A, B, and C, each of these being companies, and I'm selling coffee, I bet that I can go have them taste it, eventually love it, and consume and purchase it all within these four walls. I don't think I'd have to go get corporate approval up at A or B to let C purchase my said coffee. Just an example. But now let's take this same example and apply it to cloud storage. If I'm trying to sell cloud storage to company C, and I am not aware of their corporate hierarchy having an A and a B, as a seller, I'm going to engage the client to educate them of my product. I'm going to listen intently and really learn their business challenges and if my cloud storage is better positioned than its current vendor, or if they don't have a vendor. I'm going to try to eventually, through learning and discussion, influence them to take action. That action is to buy my product. But when I go through that, I think from our understanding of a cloud storage or a complex product, they're going to have to go through, me and the client, two different tracks, a technical track and a commercial track. Very different from coffee just because of the complexity. If we decompose the technical track into four simple steps, there is an open competition phase. They're considering cloud storage. They're going to consider many. Through this education and learning and collaboration between vendor and client, we're going to help them understand that we're best fit, and they might shortlist us. Through more education and more collaboration, they might select us as a vendor if we're lucky enough. And eventually, through security work and other parties in their company, they're going to approve me as the vendor of choice. Congratulations. In concert with that, I'm also working on a commercial track. They don't have any money for it because they weren't planning on buying it. Now they've requested some budget. They've received budget approval, and eventually for this very product, we've reached final terms and they've agreed to purchase it from us for a said price. All of this is a lot of work. And without corporate hierarchy, if I'm doing all that work just in this box, but I'm selling cloud storage, the challenge is that's a very complex product that has some centralization. They're going to want to make sure that the cloud storage provider is consistent across these three companies to drive efficiencies. So if I have knowledge of this structure, I can go through this exercise here, but each time being mindful of keeping the other groups informed, kind of working my way up from a groundswell here to earn the parent's approval versus the child relationship here. So Educating, learning, influence, and driving action can happen so much better if you're aware of all versus some. It's the same flow, it's just more complex. But the reason you ultimately do it, the why, is because knowing this structure is critical. And that criticality is it can unlock velocity. And if we think about sales velocity, it's by knowing this structure and going through this process, I can involve more people. Because of the involvement of more people, I can drive greater dollar. Having each of these companies purchase my cloud storage versus one is clearly a larger ticket. But by doing that and involving many, I have influencers at each of these groups. I have decision makers at each locale, and eventually the parent is saying, we all benefit. That's going to improve my win rate of this opportunity. And ultimately, I'll actually do it faster by not just working with one and then being surprised, but working with all from the get-go. So at a 10,000-foot view, corporate hierarchy is critical. It unlocks sales velocity. More deals, larger deals, better win rate, shorter length of time, because you're just communicating better. You're communicating better by being mindful of the people and the decision-making power across all entities, not one, and it drives success for both client and vendor. Corporate hierarchy. At the end of the day, as always with the whiteboard series, if you can share what you like, comment on what you dislike or disagree with, help us all become smarter, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.